Yeah, you go there, mate.
Right, what we're talking about today, Luke?
Well, I thought we'd talk about some of the current issues: immigration, rioting, politics, all the rest of it, crime, unemployment, all the happy subjects. Cheer people up.
So, rioting.
Yeah.
Let's start there. We're having plenty of that at the minute.
Look, before you answer that, my eldest said to me, "What does it mean by far right?" It's a good question, isn't it?
Very good question.
It's anything that's right of Jeremy Corbyn, really. I mean, they're just labels. It's lazy journalism. It's lazy application of labels to people. If you go through Twitter, now X, sorry, Elon, it's just full of people saying, I am now far right. I don't believe in mass uncontrolled immigration, and it'll be a grandma in the picture or a black girl, or I've seen a couple of Muslims actually with I am now far right, etc. And you have to think, oh my God, what are they trying to do? But it's amazing how Sky TV, BBC, ITV, even Channel 4 certainly, it's just an easy label to say, these are working class scrubbers.
I think with the rioting, 'cause obviously the most relevant one is Rotherham. That hit, Downing Street News, didn't it? Keir Starmer talking all about Rotherham doing this, Rotherham doing that, in terms of rioting.
The scale of child sexual abuse in Rotherham is devastating. Almost 1,500 children, many groomed by gangs of mostly Asian men. And now a report by the police watchdog has called out the failings of the force that should have protected them.
But in case you're not from these parts, let me explain. Rotherham was celebrating 100 years as a borough. The charter was signed on 29th August 1871. Names that brought back memories of days long gone. And people who have made Rotherham their home, all from sunnier climes, braving the rain to say thank you to the watching crowds. The mayor took the salute, a proud day for Alderman Crowther, and no more than he deserved, to be mayor in centenary year.
Not that I agree with the rioting, the protests I understand, but there's ways and means to, to get your message across, not necessarily rioting. But in terms of like far right, why are we just labelling it something? Why can't someone just turn around and go, do you know what? These people are clearly unhappy because something's not going their way, so let's investigate it.
No one seems to be addressing the reasoning behind it all. All they want to do is call everybody lunatics, nutters, far right, whatever label they want to give to people. It's just another way of saying, shut up, we don't want to listen to you.
If no one's listening, and that's now evident, why? What is going on behind the scenes that the mass population, the volume of people are clearly focused on, but what's going off over its shoulder? The real right.
I don't believe in coincidences no more. And I think a lot of this has been designed to happen. You've got let's start with why most people are unhappy today. Illegal and legal immigration. There's just too much of it. The people of this country, you can't get a doctor's appointment. Everybody's struggling financially. Not everybody, but a lot of people are struggling financially. And these are the real issues, and no one's listening. Certainly not in Westminster. And I think there's been lots and lots of protesting, peaceful protesting over the last few years, but it's not going nowhere. And it's getting to the stage where people are just thinking, we're not being listened to. So it just escalates into what we're seeing now. That's what I think.
Well, I saw, a little stat the other day. Hopefully you might be able to, cross-reference me here with stats and whatnot. But I believe of the counted to date immigrants that have come over, of all of them, registered, say, between, Christmas or start of year to July, only 4% have been actually processed through the system, of which, of that 4%, only 85 of that number have been granted permission. So if we're only 44%, 96% of those immigrants that have come across that border are doing what? Where are they? Because the stat that comes off the back of that was, if a child is born today, right, get this, if a child is born today, by the time that child hits 40 years old, the statistics and the maths obviously from the immigration means that English-born child today will be a minority in Great Britain by the time they're 40 years old. That's scary.
It's very scary. It's very scary.
That's not even a lifetime, that's 40 years.
But what's Labour's answer to this, it seems to me, is just process them by just giving them the right to stay. There's no checks, no nothing.
So it's a known fact, if we're talking immigration, the UK earn an obscene amount of money from immigration by taking in these immigrants. They earn an obscene amount of money. Now, Labour have just promised, because they're now in power, they're not going to raise taxes. They've stripped the pensioners from their heating bill budget. But now, after these riots, Keir Starmer stands up and says, we're going to contribute £28.4 million to the protection of these mosques. That number just come out of thin air. And yet, when you look at immigration, that seems to be more of the focus than actually solving the problem. So going back to your original statement is, so a lot of this, all this is happening, there's rioting, things like that. Well, who's going to solve the real problem? What is the real problem?
Well, before the, I think, 2000s, immigration was around 30 to 40,000 people a year. And that was predominantly people coming in, working for NHS, health, social care, all this business. So there wasn't really a problem. Plus, the small numbers could integrate into towns, villages and cities easily, because they were not the odd one out, but if you got just a couple of foreign families in a street, then you'd take them to heart. It was easy for them to assimilate into British culture. But then the numbers jumped exponentially when Tony Blair got in, and the EU directives of free movement and all this business.
My belief is one of these things, one of the reason behind all this happening is Tony Blair for years has been fighting to bring in digital ID. I saw a caption the other day, and it was Keir Starmer stood with Tony Blair, and Keir Starmer's saying, "Don't worry, Tony, just a few more riots and you can get your digital ID." And there's a lot of truth, I believe, in that.
Probably true.
In that caption, because I think a lot of this has been designed to lead us into stuff like digital ID. He's already, first statement after the riots the other day, what did he do? He stood up after his meeting with the police commissioners and everything. One of the first things he said, we're going to use facial recognition. Now, people have been fighting against facial recognition for the last few years and saying how wrong it is. But suddenly, because there's been riots, it's all right to use it.
What the public don't know already, though, is it's already in use.
Yeah. People must be daft if you don't believe you're being tracked right now. You know, there's settings on your iPhone. If someone's got an iPhone, and we've spoken about how the American government are actually attacking Apple now in terms of the monopoly of them as a business, taking over. We are being tracked. There's cameras everywhere. You can't go anywhere without being under a camera somewhere, at some point. CCTV has been installed everywhere. To back this up, the American government have actually put sanctions on using certain Chinese manufacturers because they know once they have the data from the CCTV, they've got control. So Chinese cameras are a huge threat to national security. But going back to what you said about the Tony Blair scenario and the ID, the digital IDs, well, we're going to CBDCs, the digital banking currency. Name me a bigger lock, stock, barrel, that's it, you're in, too late, that's it, done. That's curtains, that.
Hence why they want rid of cash.
Well, cash is king, as we know, but it is going. And people are actually incentivising people to use card. It's frightening how people are so easily led because it's path of least resistance. So when it comes to manipulation from a government, are the government actually planning the narrative, or is there something above the government forcing their hand?
Oh, without a doubt. These governments, most certainly Western governments, they're just puppets of globalists. And again, Keir Starmer, when he was asked just weeks ago, the question he was asked was Westminster or Davos. Without hesitation, he said Davos.
Davos.
And they're puppets to the globalists.
Okay, I've got one for you. Why is he in power?
Because Klaus Schwab said he should be.
It's a great question when you think about it. Who put that man in power? And why?
It's all increments, isn't it? I mean, I think Keir Starmer's one of the worst politicians that there's probably ever been, and that includes Chairman Mao, Pol Pot.
Did you know his dad was a toolmaker?
I didn't, mate. No, not heard that.
Yes, I've heard.
He made a good tool then, didn't he?
When you're looking at Keir Starmer, and obviously his policy that he's driving, is he going to raise taxes?
Absolutely. We're being taxed to death because a lot of people just think they get their wage packet and it shows what tax they've paid. But it goes way, way beyond that. We're taxed on everything. Everything you buy, there's VAT on it. There's tax on your fuel. There's tax, everything you can think of.
So, immigration, we earn a lot of money from immigration, right? Well, immigration is through the roof, and we've just established that with our quick discussion. So why the need for more money? Unless it's getting out of debt, because we are insanely in debt. And when you look at it as a nation, if I looked at the UK as a business, you sit there and think, well, hang on a second, there's a lot of money coming into the system, and we're using other methods about raising funds, i.e., getting on the immigration, jumping on that hype. But as a business, are we trading that insolvent that it's now irrecoverable? That we're actually just lost in the bigger picture? If, as a business, at what point does HMRC step into a business and say, you're trading insolvent, we're wiping slate clean, we're taking it clean, we're closing your business. So on that note, at what point, who comes into the UK and goes, right, UK, you are trading insolvent, you are nothing, it's irreversible, you are gone.
Well, if it was a business, they'd have been gone a long time ago.
So what does gone mean? Because a business gets wiped from the face of earth. Doesn't no longer exist. It gets, liquidated, administrators come in, and that's it. It gets filed, done, put to bed. What happens to a country that is gone? It's bankrupt, it's insolvent. So for me, there is a bigger picture. There is a bigger play. But what is the question? I sit there and see immigration going through roof. Now, Keir Starmer cannot be stupid. We're talking about the guy who kind of let, and I don't know the legal side of it, but didn't he let Jim will fix it? He let him through the legal system, didn't he? He didn't.
Yeah, I fixed it for him.
He didn't bang him up, and he probably should have done way back when. Obviously, I weren't, around there to kind of judging it. But
maybe he's in the club.
So these are the questions that we should be actually looking and delving into, because why? If we are earning that much money from immigration, why do we need to raise income tax? It's got to be one or the other. Looking at it.
In reality, look, you've got a fixed, a set rate of tax for an average earner, 20% or whatever. And then you've got 40% for your high tax, your high earners. In reality, if you strip down a lot of what's not required, like why do we need all them people in Westminster? Why do we need all these governmental people that just literally do nothing? If you stripped all that back and made it run as a business, your taxes would probably only need to be 4 or 5%.
Well, I also think off the back of that, I think AI can do that job. AI should quite easily be able to streamline government parties right down. Fight for a party, left or right, whichever you want to call it, green, blue, whatever you want to call it, right? But there's two ways to skin a cat, as we know, right? From my perspective, generally, people either go one or the other, right? So as a country, do we want immigration, yes or no? Because that's what it comes down to. Do we want it, yes or no? If we do, okay, how's it going to work? If we don't, cut the ties, stop them coming in, reinforce the borders, get on the RAF, patrol the skies, talk to the Navy, stop anyone coming through, put holes in the boats, whatever you need to do, refer them away. It's doable. So it's a yes or it's a no. So if the public had to vote on either a yes or a no, either which way, we're going to have the public voting for the answer. So then let's start and go. If we literally just said, okay, so let the UK have the option to vote, and they can sort of like send in their top 10 concerns that they want fixing within the UK, right? Every human soul above 18 years old can send in your requests. Let's say it takes them a month to get through all these requests, and they get a full A to Z list, but they say, you only get this one opportunity, so do it now, and then we'll solve it. And they went, right, okay, so we're going to deal with the one with the most votes first, and it's going to be a yes or a no. If it's going to be, if immigration is the hot topic right now, and we say, do we want, as a nation, immigration?
So you're talking about referendums, aren't you?
Yeah, so if we had a real referendum, why can't it be dealt with like that? Now, do I believe in immigration? Yeah, of course, to a degree. There's got to be an element of freedom of movement. Of course, why can't we be the country where there's massive opportunity? The problem is the infrastructure is not prepared to receive that kind of growth. So when it comes to, here's a little weird one for you, the income tax number, right? The amount of income tax we receive, what does that look like versus the amount we pay out in benefits? Now, a little dicky bird told me we pay out more in benefits than the UK receives in income tax alone. Now, to me, that's broken. How can we afford, as a country, as a business, to pay out more in benefit tax than we actually receive in income tax? Who did that calculation? Because that's broke.
Well, Diane Abbott.
Wow. Can't believe she's entered this conversation. I feel like taking one of my shoes off.
Well,
But for me, Ryan, first thing I'd stop is like career politicians. So the people who get voted in to government, allegedly voted in, is whoever comes round and tells the local constituency the best lies and makes people believe them.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
For me, I would have, no one should sit in Parliament for me unless they've spent at least, say, 15, 20 years in business.
Yeah, I like that.
So forget these wets who's just left college, university or whatever and then decided to become an MP because that's an easy life. Because all these people do, they don't give a monkeys about who or what they do as long as they win the seat at the next election. That's all they're bothered about. It's not what's good for the people and good for the country.
Well, this comes back, and I saw a little video the other day, and just off what you're saying, smart people always win. So going back to being a class clown, right? Being a class clown, you may well win, you know, they call them prom queens and king and queens in the States, don't they? You know, if you're the popular guy or girl in school, you are popular for that year and then you become a distant memory. The geeks, as they were called back then, the book nerds, are the real winners. They're the people that actually make change. Now, what's scary about that is the people who are actually smart and listen to, you know, how to make change, they'll say, okay, if I want to be a cat, for example, I don't want to be a guy anymore, I want to be a cat. All I need to do is get into some kind of power, convince a few people that I'm a really good leader, and then once they vote me in, I can then start making change to ensure that it's okay that I'm not bullied for me believing that I'm a cat. Now I've got power of influence. Well, that's just what has happened over the last 5-10 years in the UK. So when you look at can you imagine an Englishman going over to, I don't know, say Middle East and going, we now, English people, are going to now retake over these lands and you're all going to be barred from your culture, barred from your whatever religion you believe. You're all now going to go off our values of a Christian, an English Christian. It's just never going to happen today. That has just happened in the UK. So we've opened our doors up to say we have freedom of travel, freedom of speech, come into our country and we'll open our borders up, we'll open our education system, things like that. So when you look at all of our politicians now, how many of our politicians that are in a government force role, are, MPs and whatnot, how many of those are born and bred English people? Irrelevant to your colour of your skin. How many?
Don't know.
What's a scary... I'd love to find out that. But what is a scary understanding is that not all of them are born and bred in England. Now, shouldn't that be at least a criteria? If you want to change a country's narrative, a country's direction, you should be at least born here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's a reason why over in the States, Trump can actually stand there and say, make America great again. Look at what he's doing. He is actually, every day that that guy is alive, every movement he makes is towards making America great again. Tell me one soul in the UK that is genuinely standing up going, make Britain great again. Name me one, I'll wait.
Yeah, maybe
Farage.
Nigel. Yeah.
So Farage, right? So why isn't everybody saying, okay, Nigel Farage, we're going to strip you down, right? What are you saying? What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? Now, over the last, say, 6 months, we've had the big boost in reform, right?
Like I said earlier, half of these politicians, they're not interested in this country. They're interested in the benefiting the global leaders. So on that point,
when you say half or the majority of the people, is a problem. I know people, my age and younger, who are genuinely sat there going, I ain't voting. I ain't wasting my time because whatever I vote for ain't going to happen anyway. They know, they are that convinced their vote will not count.
Yeah.
And now that's sad.
And that's what's happened. This time, Labour have got in. I mean, Starmer had less votes than Jeremy Corbyn did when he got slaughtered.
It's laughable.
It's unbelievable. But again, I think these people are just being picked out. And Klaus Schwab has been on record. I've seen him stand and say, we've penetrated your cabinets. And so most of the Western leaders they've been put in place by the globalists.
Have you seen that film, Churchill? The recent one?
No.
Don't comment on this, but I'm pretty sure in the film, the politicians knew there was going to, ultimately someone had to, lose their seat. So they had to have a fall person, and they went, well, who else can we do this? Sod it, we're going to lose anyway. We may as well get Churchill in. We're going to lose this war, so we don't want to look like a laughingstock. The only person who we don't mind throwing under a bus is Churchill. So get him in. Now, if that narrative is actually true, and way back when they put Churchill in power because they genuinely believed that was their sort of like strongest, weakest moment, if we're going to go down, we may as well go chuck someone on the bus. If they're prepared to say that on a film, one, did that actually happen? And two, are we repeating history again?
Well, they say history always repeats itself, don't they?
So Farage,
Yeah.
is he the right person or is he the best of a bad bunch?
Best of a bad bunch, I think. Really.
Probably best of a bad bunch. But
So question, and why doesn't he get the votes?
Because
Why does every Englishman go, thank goodness that man is saying everything this country needs?
he's been tarnished with this far-right anti-foreigners.
Yeah, but is he saying everything? Or is he a little bit...
I don't think anybody's ever heard a sentence from Nigel Farage that is racist. I can't think of one.
Do you know what blows my mind? Right, go to America and you're blue or red. Republican, Democrat, period. Right? There is a very clear divide. And we see that all the time. But yet they can be persuaded to swap. We've seen that. So there's no hatred, it's just a belief system. And there's a big belief now that obviously Trump, obviously with the failed assassination attempt, we might come on to that in a second, but there is a very clear, distinct belief system there that they are all pushing for making America great again. That message is not live over here in the UK. We are a laughingstock, an absolute laughingstock.
see, I was in America a few weeks ago. I spent a month in America. And something I found really interesting. Do you know how we always say, whatever happens in America, we follow on? And it
I've heard
gets
that,
us.
yeah.
And yet, when I was speaking to people in America, they had the feeling that everything that happens there is influenced by London. And I found that very strange.
Interesting.
And that wasn't just one person. Lots of people in America said that same thing to me.
I mean, listen, I don't, I wouldn't object to it. Britain used to rule the world. There was only 22 countries out of the whole of the globe that the Great Britain did not rule. And obviously, inevitably, they started losing them. Got to the last 14, I think, was it? Commonwealth. Americans are patriotic. They want America to be great again.
Yeah.
Now, if everyone's going to be over here in the UK, why can't we all be patriotic? Did you see that woman screaming on social media? Anyone in this country, if you don't like it, off. Why can't we send that message? If you don't like the rules set in this country, do one. But the rules that are set are for the protection and for the great British people. Not for some narrative that we're all questioning. Why can't Great Britain be run by the Great British people?
A government's first duty is supposed to be to its citizens and the security of its citizens.
Really?
And what are we seeing? Anything bar that, aren't we?
100%.
So to me, and it's not just this government, because the last government were the same. Do you know what I mean? That a lot of this immigration problem we've got, that was caused by, it's set off with Tony Blair and then just continued with the Tories, whichever leader it was at the time. And they all said the same bullshit over and over again. They're going to get it under control. They're going to stop the boats. How many times have we heard that? The boats just keep coming.
And you got Nigel Frost stood there going, oh, another one. Oh, another one.
And
they're not stopping the boats.
And Labour, they've no intentions of stopping the boats.
Because we earn that much money from it. As a country, we earn that much money from immigration. People cannot be blind.
Yeah, and it filters down to local councils as well, because we know councillors have had backhanders from the government. Will you accept so many hundred of these new friendly faces?
That's a statement. Well, is that true?
Talking of like local councillors, on the way here today we had the radio on, and there's a councillor for Rotherham, John Healy, MP now. He's Defence Secretary, isn't he?
Yeah.
That clown, and they get away with telling barefaced lies. He said he was on the phone till 11:30 last night talking to families who had to leave their homes and be evacuated because of the trouble at the hotel in Waff at Rotherham last night.
Which families?
Exactly. I mean, and how did these families contact Mr. Healy? How? It's an obvious barefaced lie, isn't it?
From my understanding, the places that were under attack, if you want, for better phrases, was the hotel that housed these refugees.
Yeah.
So what families are we talking about?
Well, he said people were that frightened in the local area, they had to be evacuated, and he was on the phone talking to families till 11 or 11:30 last night?
Yeah.
And
what?
Now
Is he paid to say this?
You know he's lying. Because for a start, how did these families get his phone number?
Yellow Pages.
Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing is, half of the families that he's probably on about were on the street, protesting anyway.
But over and over again, people are allowed to go on our mainstream media and just spout lies. And everybody knows they're lying, but they're still allowed to do it. And once it's been said, it's been said. And some people are taken in by this. Tell a lie enough times, it becomes the truth.
Yeah. If I was a aspiring politician and I genuinely wanted to do right by the people, there has never been a perfect time to step up and actually take over. Because if you deliver...
Yeah, but the thing is, Ryan, if you say and do the right things, you'll just be shut down.
Yeah.
Because it's not about doing the right things. It's
Too late
about
now.
lining pockets and just what we see over and over again. I mean, if I was a politician or if I was running the country, the first thing I'd do is I'd go and visit countries all over the place. So I'd go to Germany, see what they do best at one thing, and pick each country who does good at a certain thing. Whether that be your financial, your car making, whatever, it can be anything. But pick what they do best and bring it to your own country and do what's best for that country.
I like what you said there. So if you were to start, you've got to kind of really start at the start. So for me, it's the education system.
Yeah.
Now, if we're going to
Which is corrupt.
It's all corrupt. Why aren't we teaching kids today financial management, money mastery? That's one for me.
Yeah.
Because if you can suppress, the mass volume of population, then you retain control and power. But by the time our kids today, I genuinely believe we should have some level of national compulsory service. I do. I stand by what was proposed.
But by that, do you mean army?
Not
or
necessarily.
military?
I do believe an element of you have to give back to UK. Why the hell not? If we have the right to walk these streets that were once fought, in wars to protect, we, as a nation, we built castles, we built sandbags, we protected our shores as a nation combined, and we were united in that we will defend our little island. So I believe that we owe all those people who've lost their lives to allow us to even walk these streets, that we should at least give back, be it 6 months minimum, because I believe it also sets you up with an element of respect, an element of discipline. Do you know there's kids that leave school today that do not know how to change a light bulb? I'll say that again. There are kids today that leave school that cannot change a light bulb. They don't know different types of light bulbs. These are home skills. This is not rocket science. This is a bayonet or a screw cap. This is not difficult. But there are kids today who don't know how to change a light bulb. So for me, just the pure benefit of having compulsory service would see a big change in respect, the culture, the discipline. And I think as individuals, would we see people rioting the way we're rioting? Or would we see more a united front that said, no, we are going to do a march, for example, and we're all going to stand there in front of Downing Street and we're going to stop you from moving in because we want change. We're not going to do it by rioting and smashing windows, because now what has that proved? What has it actually proved? It's just going to be more financial sanctions. Again, go back to the geek if you want. Got to box smart. So if you want things to actually change, go back to school, give them a proper education before they leave, get them back into the compulsory service, and be it clean sweep, streets up, whatever it may well be.
Well, what I was saying earlier, Ryan, is pick the best of what each country does.
Yeah.
So, like you mentioned in service there, when tradesmen in Germany, they're called Zimmerman, and when you trade, if you're going to be a joiner, for example, during your apprenticeship, you spend a year away. So you go and you'll stay. You might stay in a hotel, but you'll work doing jobs or whatever. So you learn your trade while you're doing. And for that, you'll get free food and free accommodation.
Yep.
So that's one good thing that we could bring in here. And it is a service in a way. I don't agree with chucking people into the military, because that achieves nothing. And
what does that mean today? What's the when you say don't agree with, what is it that you don't agree with?
Well, for a start, what good are people being forced into an army or a navy
so what does that mean?
Who don't want to be there?
No, what does it mean though? Because what's the difference between forcing someone into? What I'm trying to get at is remove the definition of army, navy, Royal Air Force. Remove that definition, because today we're not out on the front line doing that, the obvious, what the perception is. The good that the military do is not, it's forgotten about. So when national, disasters strike, who's the first on scene? The military. And they perform with precision. They're there, they're disciplined, and they get things dealt with. Even if filling sandbags, I know there's messes, but what I'm trying to get at is build the community again. Where is the patriotic Great Britain that we once were? We've lost our identity. And because we've lost our identity, that's where a lot of the problems come from. So the perception of keep people away from military, what does that actually mean? Because the military has more advantages than the perception of military. Military is really a defence mechanism. It's not actually an attack, is it? It's a defence mechanism. So if we built up a culture of let's all be of one, let's do some national service, and if it means we get fit and we know how to look after ourselves, we know how to wipe our own backsides, and we're getting fit, so now we've got a fitter nation. Then we learn about nutrition. Oh, so we can actually pick better food choices. We don't have to go for the McDonald's or the fast food industries. And then we start and get some discipline in terms of a trade. Yeah, go and be a joiner. There is no difference. I've never said anything about go and do the obvious. I'm not going to say what that is because of the channel it'll be on. But you know what I mean? I'm not actually promoting the negative side of being in the military. What I'm actually saying is let's go and be in a community that's giving back to our nation. That's what I mean by military. And if that means sweeping streets or helping local councils, like the TAs do, they don't go off and do what we all believe the old style war is. Today, we need to build up our immune system of the country, our backbone. And that, for me, is a community that's all going to be united.
See, how often you go down the street nowadays and you see people with bags of rubbish at the side. So these are local volunteers who are out doing that.
Yeah.
Yet, we pay through our council tax or whatever for the councils to do that, but they're not doing it. So they're taking the money off us to do it and then expecting volunteers to do it.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
But this comes back down to, like, from my example, right? I went into, you've got a choice when you went to college. I'm 38 now, just turned. But when I was, say, 17, 18, going into a modern apprentice, okay, we were physically kicked into shape. That is unheard of today. I was strung up on a Jesus cross, tie wrapped, tied up, with duct tape. They pulled my Kellys down, glued me up on my 18th birthday, chucked water over me and put me out on Main Street, right? It were a laugh. Were I scarred by it? No. Do I promote it? No, definitely not. But it were character building. If I were ever caught with my hands in my pockets, they booted me. They were extremely disciplined to the point where if you've got your hands in your pocket, you don't look busy. Pick up a brush, do something, look busy. Or if you've got nothing to do, go and do something. There is always something to do. So we were pushed into that way of working. It was graft. You could have had the choice to go into the public sector. I mean, you could have been a joiner for the local council. Well, the perception is, and we all know this, you've got 4 people doing one person's job. One doing the job, the other one supervising, the second one watching that those two are doing the job, and the fourth person at the back loitering, making sure that no one else is going to come near him. It's a big waste of resources. So here's one for you. We often talk about this in our little group. And I say, when the disasters stop, let's say these riots, they all cool down, the civilization starts talking about the things that are permanent headaches to us, such as potholes. So we go through the winter period, go through the summer period. Tarmac, to me, is terrible as a product, right? It contracts, it expands, it, right? So tarmac on our UK streets are an absolute nightmare. So the example that I bring to our conversation table is, I believe that I could solve in, say, Doncaster, in a area, I believe I could solve all the holes, all the potholes in Doncaster in less than 12 hours. Now, the way at which I'd do that as a business, I'd rally up as many, okay, I might need a few volunteers here, but I'd rally up as many volunteers as I can and break it down into smaller areas and say, look, you work on them, you work on them. Let's spend a bit of time mapping out who's going to cover what roads, when and why, okay? Each crew, you need a van, you need some Coley, macadam, whatever, you need your sprays, and you're going to be military on how you're going to do it, right? And we're going to execute this in one night. Okay, so we spend, say, best part of a day planning it with our teams, next day implementing our teams, preparing it, and then we do it on the quietest night, like a Sunday night, okay? Then we tell the public this is what's going to happen. We get some more resources there. I bet I could do it for less than £1,000 of physical material, and that one night, it'd be done. Now, that's me doing it as I'll do this without the council knowing, but I'll get it done. If we was to do it through the public sector, they're going to have to talk to highways. They're then going to have to talk to safety. They're going to have to talk to transport. They're going to have to talk to procurement. They'll have to talk to estimating. They'll have to talk to the operations. They'll have to talk to the crew that's going to get done. They have spent millions before they've even picked up the macadam. There's a huge difference in getting the job done than actually, let's just use the resources that we've got. So when we're saying councils and stuff like that, to me it's all backwards. The reason we're not getting things done is because the people who go back to school, if you weren't that clever at school, for example, but you were in a position where you wanted to just do the norm, you wanted to do the bare minimum, just get through your school time, you kept quiet, you just did the did. You might come away with, semi-D or a C in terms of your grades and things. You left and that you got yourself a job. Well, you got a job, you went through the ranks and things like that. And because you became loyal, you got rewarded for being loyal. So now, what is it? What's the production of that loyal person? What's the output? In a public company versus a private one. If you're not producing in a private company, you're gone. Because we need the output. Public bodies, you're not rewarded on output. You're rewarded on how long you serve.
But you touched on it earlier, Ryan, about a business. It goes bankrupt, that's it, it's done. All these councils, if any business run how they are run, they'd be bankrupt in no time. So it's as simple as that.
Birmingham Council went bang. I mean, there's several councils that go bang. They do. And they end up getting bailed out. They get bailed out by taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
What changes? Because they've just been bailed out. What's changed? Have all those people been sacked? No, they've all kept their jobs. Why? Oh, we shouldn't force people into unemployment. No, but it was the same people that got you bankrupt in the first instance. Exactly. So what is actually changed? The definition of insane or insanity is by doing the same thing
over
every
and over
time
and expecting a different result.
Exactly that. So when we say we could probably change this narrative, things like that, I do believe going back to the start, our education system, solve that, get people into disciplined roles, do the do. There's nothing wrong with being in a normal job and actually doing the do, but it's got to be result driven. If we understood as a nation, I just want to pause this point because the reason I'm backing it up is we built some houses on an estate in Doncaster, right? We bought a plot of land and we had to hit a specific GDV, the gross development value. So we couldn't just decide we'll put as many houses on there as possible. We had to, very accurately calculate how many houses we could put on there because the more houses you put on, the more it costs you. So more is not necessarily the best way. We chose less number of dwellings because we got the maximum GDV, right? When we spoke to the council about the adjoining land that they have, we said, so how are you going to, how are you going to plot all the houses out on there? Because if the plot of land's X and you've got to build X amount of there, surely that's not profitable. The answer to what he said to me was, we're not bothered about money. We've got an endless pot of money. We just have to build because that's what we have to hit our numbers. And that's the response. That was 2023, that conversation. So they're not bothered about money. So they're not profit driven. So they are just hemorrhaging money. So if you're building a community that just hemorrhages money, how on earth do you think a country is run? You said it earlier about how many politicians there are. There's that many politicians. Who's actually looking at the business side of the country?
Perfect example, HS2.
Oh, God. Yeah.
How much money was spent on that and it hasn't gone ahead? Now, I knew someone who worked at the head office for that at Birmingham. And she told me that there was 300 people in this office and she was one of the junior staff. She was on £60,000 a year.
Junior?
She was a junior. She was a quantity surveyor, but she was junior. She was just a quantity surveyor. She wasn't a senior quantity surveyor. She was on 60 grand. So and she says most people she was one of the lowest earners, and there was 300 of them. And she sat in that office for 2 years.
God.
2 years, Ryan, didn't do a stroke. Nothing. They didn't do nothing for 2 years.
37.5 hours a week.
And didn't do a stroke.
Right, so just quick comparison, because I believe that is an absolute waste of taxpayers' money. And no disrespect to this
criminal.
woman. She could be absolutely fantastic, but wouldn't her time and money have been better spent emptying the bins on streets? But her pride would have been, I ain't doing that job. And that's who we are as a nation. The reason I say about the military is that we are disciplined. You do a job because it needs to be done, not because you like it or not. And that's what we've forgotten about today. How many times as a child, we have to incentivise our kids now and we'll say, right, okay, on your banking app, back to digital stuff, on your banking app, they get nominated chores. Make your bed, you earn 15 pence. Take the bins out, you get 25 pence. And that's how they build up their pocket money. But they have to do it, take a picture of it, and that's it done. It's automatic through the banking system, right? So they're now disciplined to these things are mandatory, they need to be done in order to get that exchange, right? So if we're going to build a nation of these are mandatory things that need to be done, like take your bins out, things like that. Well, who does it? Who does it? It's a job that someone don't want to do. But if we've got a crew that do it, it'll get done. Military, for me, are a valuable tool to every country. But if we are constantly as a globe saying world peace, and that's actually what we're pushing for, why do we need a military then? I don't want the question to be answered, because I think the reason we know you've always got to have a deterrent. We know that, right? But what is our deterrent on our own streets? The biggest war the UK is actually fighting today is on our streets. Because anybody who says who's in the military, and I feel sorry for everyone who's in the military right now, because they're probably unaware of all this. They won't be getting news about this because they'll be out doing their do. Only until they speak to relatives, oh, it's not great, good over here at minute. They're actually out there doing the do, right? They've invested into their careers. Who's actually entering the military today?
It's scary what, even in the military, how that's diversity is kicked in the military. I was talking to a lad who was in the Navy not long ago, a young lad, and I played golf with him. And he was telling me, during their training, if, like, I don't know what it is in the Navy, but a corporal or sergeant gives you a hard time, you can give him a yellow card. And if he does it again, you can give him a red card, and then he has to go in front of the station commander.
I can't listen to this. This is wrong. This is
I
absolutely
said,
wrong.
you've got to be joking me. You're winding me up, aren't you?
That's
he said,
not
no, it's honest to God.
How on earth can...
So whether he was on a wind-up, but
No, because you...
seemed genuine.
We've heard...
But I can actually believe it.
Yeah, we've
with
heard
what's
Donald
going
Trump
on.
talk about the electric tanks. We've heard about it, haven't we? You know, yeah, we'll just send an electric tank into battle.
I butted in on you earlier, though, and we've gone off on a tangent since. You had some figures that you've checked earlier about immigration, etc., and you've checked these on the government website this morning, I believe.
Yeah, I checked. These are from 2 government sources, reputable sources.
Listen to some of these.
The problem with immigration is that the argument will be, yeah, but a lot of people are here for the NHS and social services and whatnot, and that's hunky-dory. They're doing a great role. I mean, who hasn't been seen by a foreign doctor or a nurse? Amazing at the jobs. But the real problem with immigration, that I was looking at these figures, is that in 2023, non-EU residents that were coming here, there was 21,000 listed as other reasons, including dependence. Your guess is as good as mine. 50,000 humanitarian reasons and dependence. Guess as good as mine. 75,000 family reasons, and that includes dependence. And 81,000 claimed asylum. So that's 227,000 people in 1 year. And net migration was 685,000. That's just 1 year. The problem with this is that then I looked into the unemployment figures for those people. The top percent of unemployed in Great Britain as of 2023 were of Pakistani, Bangladeshi family. 11% of their women were unemployed. 7% Asian or black, 4% Indians, 3% the white British, which is the lowest unemployment figure in our country. Then you look at crime, the most prolific people committing crimes in Britain in 2022 to 2023, for every 1,000 people, black 52.4, black Caribbean 22.7. Then third in the list, gypsy Irish traveller 17.2. Asian, Pakistan, and it goes right down to white British Arabs and Chinese at the bottom, 2.8. The highest crime rates, London, Manchester, West Yorkshire, West Valley, Birmingham, which you can imagine being big cities. And according to the government website, The most frequented owners of brothels in this country are now Albanians. And that has brought up the modern day slavery figures. Terror crimes, this is quite interesting. March 2021, 73% of prisoners declared themselves as Muslim, 12% Christian. And then, with the news of Keir Starmer saying, the far right's the biggest threat. Well, according to Ken, MI5 director, he stated that Islamic terrorism is the biggest threat to the UK. So my money's on Ken and not Keir.
You touched earlier about how many prisoners, foreign prisoners, I know you mentioned there 73% recognise themselves as Muslim. But for me, the foreign, wherever they're from, if they come and break the law, serious crime, and they go to prison, when they come out of prison, they should be deported back to where they come from.
Sent back.
And they'd think twice, because they either want to stay here or they don't. And if there's a deterrent there, and they know that when they come out, off they go, some of them, not all of them, but a percentage would think twice before they did them crimes.
I believe what you're saying there, because when it was the big hype about Dubai, when Dubai was the big hype for people, what we're probably talking maybe 5-10 years back, and it was what's this new Dubai thing? It's really like posh, and it's really extravagant and really a good place to be. But yet it was always caveated with, but don't mess about over there, they'll chop your hands off, and don't. And a lot of the scaremongery was down to the laws, the rules and regulations over there. Don't steal, they'll take your hands off. Most of the point where people are actually testing it on social media, go, I'll leave my phone and wallet on a sidewalk, bench, I'll disappear for an hour, come back, and I guarantee it'll still be there. And that is enforceable because of the laws. And I believe that if you go to a different country, you should respect their laws.
I went to Japan for the World Cup, Football World Cup.
Lucky man.
And on the night, we met some Japanese people, and they invited us to their house to watch Japan and Russia.
Well, nice.
And Japan won that game. And afterwards, we went out, we had some footballs, and we went out on the streets kicking footballs about. We had a great time. On the way back, we went through a railway station. Now, the last tube was at, I think it was midnight. All the Japanese fellas who had gone out in the suits from work, suits and ties, and they'd gone straight to the pubs or whatever, watched the game and stayed out celebrating. They'd missed their last tube. They were all bedded down, and I'm talking hundreds of them. And they all had next to them their mobile phone, their wallet, their keys in a nice little pile while they slept on the station. Can you imagine that happening here?
Not a cat in hell's chance.
And
I'll try it tomorrow.
You'll be lucky to have your pants on.
yeah, exactly.
Never mind your wallet.
You'd wake up without your shoes.
Yeah.
It's different cultures, isn't it?
Yeah.
And going to I've done a lot of travelling. I've been all over the world. And you go and you respect people's culture.
Yeah.
And you fit in best you can.
It's exciting.
It is. But everybody comes here and seems to hate the place.
It's free for all.
What?
But not,
why are they here? If they hate it so much, why are they here?
So not to go off on a tangent, I think a lot of reason people are here is because of business. It's a great place to be for business, right?
Or benefits.
There's loads of benefits, right? So the question I've got is, what do people think of the United Kingdom, the Great Britain? Is it Great Britain today, or is it just Britain? We were once great, but we were the world dominant leaders way back when, before world power was changed hands. And then slowly but surely the empire started to shrink back down again. The fact of the matter is, when you look at our leaders, are they actually born strong leaders? Are they like a Donald Trump who go, I tell you now you will not do that? Donald Trump will quite evidently tell people you can or cannot do something. And he will put the sword, the might of the sword, behind his word. We can't do that in the UK. Look what's just happening with rioting. The rioting's just happened, and Keir Starmer says, we'll protect the people who are being rioted against. hang on a minute, the mosques aren't, they're not the problem. The problem is actually what Keir Starmer should be solving.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that as well, you've got to look at religion.
But in with religion, what he was saying there, what's the religion of Great Britain?
It was pagan and now it's Christian.
So what is that?
To me, nothing.
Well, there you go. So I've got a good friend, Azam, and he stands there and says, you know what? And Americans have this. They believe in God. Be it they believe it or not, they always use God as the reference. Because if there's nothing else, what can settle the debate? And you're all united with a God, be it you believe or not, right? The point of the matter is, from being a Christian, if it means nothing, if it genuinely means nothing, well, what have you got? Just your word. What is out there to say, come on, you shouldn't be doing that? Ethics. Ethics are a word to some people because people are over here as individuals. They're not united. But do you know what's quite funny with human beings in the UK? We're all individuals, but yet you get a great sporting event, you watch us unite. We unite more than anybody in the world. I'm telling you now, a sporting event such as football unites every Englishman in the country. So strong, men or women. We are absolutely united.
But every country you go to, and I mean anyway, and I've been to a lot of big sporting events in other countries, and everybody flies the flag with pride.
Yeah.
Over here, you fly your St. George's Cross.
You're banned.
And you're classed as a racist. And that's how have we let our country and ourselves get to a situation where we're ruled by a very small minority of people?
But I think the whole anti-Britain thing came out of insecure left-wing liberal Guardian reader types that were embarrassed about their own privileged upbringings.
Well, that's a generalised statement. When you say they, them people, are we talking what nationality are these people are we talking about?
They'll be English. They'll be in the white, affluent home county areas, probably writing pieces for newspapers and whatnot.
A big part is to suppress people, in my opinion. So everything that normal people, like you just said about privilege, how often do we keep hearing this white privilege? Have you experienced white privilege in your life? I certainly haven't.
I mean, I walk the streets. If that's white privilege, then great, I've got it. I mean,
Yeah,
what the hell is it?
But who doesn't walk the streets? Do you know what I mean?
But yeah, so the question I've got is,
What privilege
who
have
says
you
it?
got as a young white male that a lad who's from Caribbean or whatever, who's living in this country, what privilege have you got that he hasn't?
I don't believe I have, but I have got a belief system that I can travel where I need to travel. I know what I need to do in order to be able to travel. So if I need to raise a bit of money to travel, I know what I need to do that. But the internet puts us all on a level playing field. It really does. You know, so if we want something done over here today, have you noticed there's like Fiverr.com? You can instruct someone to do something for very cheap. 9 times out of 10, the people who get to do your work for you are not from the UK.
Yeah.
So I do believe that everybody has got actually the same, ability to do what they want to do. So I don't believe in white privilege.
This white privilege that's being shoved down everyone's throat, is it just another form of suppressing people? And
Yeah, so who said it? Because I watched
well, I think it's the same people Luke has just talked about. It's them same people who are a very small minority, who are like
And
all
yet,
this diversity rubbish that they're pushing as a narrative. What's it all about?
I don't believe in any of this horse crap today. With 2024, right, it's irrelevant to your colour of your skin. It's irrelevant to your religion. I go back to what you were saying earlier about the country. The country that you live in should have some underlying, underdrawn rules. These are all rules of our country, and they protect the country. If you come into the country from a different background, different country, different religion, great. We want diversity. But you're still going to protect these rules that we've had from... Have you ever joined a golf club?
no.
Okay, so when you join a golf club, you sign into the rules that were written way back when. Now, there's a golf club near us, and they funded the sort of like new clubhouse. So they decided, well, hang on a minute, it needs some investment from the members. But how can the then members benefit from, ongoing? Because if you didn't want to join as a member, but you wanted the perks of the new clubhouse, so you kind of sat in the wings and waited till it were built and then joined, because you didn't have to fund it, it wasn't fair. So they created a system that went, hang on a minute, these are the rule books from the history of the club, but yet any new member had to pay the same fee as what the founding members paid to build the initial clubhouse. So therefore it was an even keel, irrelevant on the time of which the clubhouse were built. Simple rules. But if you wanted to join, that's what you had to do. You had to join. And they're thriving as a club. As a country, why haven't we got exactly the same?
Well,
we did have.
This is a big argument today that are winding people up, and we're not looking at why these riots are happening. That's not the question that politicians are asking. We'll just smash everybody. We'll bring new laws out to suppress you more and more. Instead of looking, and one of the things that's winding people up is immigrants who come into the country, who have never put a penny into it, and just get all the benefits, not just what local people get, but more. There's people on the streets, ex-military people on the streets, freezing in the winter. They don't come and put them in a hotel, give them a mobile phone, give them benefits, give them 3 meals a day. It's all things like this that are winding everybody up. And where do you go when people are dissatisfied with their lives and what's happening and see so much unfairness?
Yeah, but
it leads to disruption, and that's what we're seeing now.
I don't dispute this. I think what really frustrates me, though, is that we all have a choice over here. It's freedom of movement. It really is. Well, that's what we believe. Remember when we was in COVID, we was in lockdown, and the UK announced, we're going to have free movement to anybody that will help our farmers. You go and help those farmers. You can have another job as well, still get your furlough, unaffected, but go and help those farmers. How many residents of the United Kingdom volunteered? Next to none. So they shipped loads in from other countries. And it was big, you can ship other people and giving everyone else our work. He's like, no, hang on a minute. They're not taking the work from these UK people. The UK people didn't want the work. So we've got to have a bit of a balance. I sat on a panel once, built some houses, and they asked us to go and do a talk at local council. And we learned about immigration and about getting some refugees across. And they spoke about the process it takes for a refugee. This is someone, it was Afghanistan, and these refugees were trained, they had degrees, and they had to go through 2 years of rigorous checks. The vetting process is terrible. I don't believe in it. I think it's very old school. But then you go down to the person who's wrote the process. You know what I mean? You've got to go, there's a lot of things to change here. But the people who are coming to the country, they are physically stripped naked, do a full body search, absolutely everything went to enter the country, right? So they get humanely embarrassed. You're literally stripped and they check every nook and cranny. And that's after the 2-year process just to get in. So if we treat people like that just to get into the country, right? And I want to speak to these people who've done that process. Some of those live in our houses that we've built. They've done that. They've paid their price to be in this country. But yet we let people in on a boat and give them everything. The people who live in the houses, they have got jobs. They have paid. They have done what they needed to do. They have paid the price to enter the UK legally through the right channels, through the right system. So the UK has got a platform, but it takes them 2 years to get here from Afghanistan. Right? That's that process. So if we're allowing people through the boats and they've got nothing, they literally just get helped on the way from the French and let them leave the shore and they come in. We get them over here, give them a blanket, give them a phone, give them a job, give them 4 walls and sleeping bag. We set them up. I think we know why they're getting a lot of money for it. But yet there's got to be a bigger picture play here. What's happening over the shoulder? What we don't know about. Jordan went to a military base. It was a port in Gibraltar. And he spoke to, one of the naval captains over there. He said, what's this show and dance about? And it was the head of the military, the defence. And he says, he's here to do all checks. He said, well, who's them lot? They're not British. He went, no, they're our latest recruits. Well, they're not British. How can they be our latest recruits? Because, we no longer recruit British people into the Navy because no one wants to go into the Navy. So they're recruiting from the Commonwealth into British Navy. So again, we're then faced with this whole, us people who have a voice, we also have a choice. Do you want to do the things that need to be done or not? Do you want to pick in a farmer's field or not? Well, if not, don't moan if some foreign national comes in and does that job. If you don't want to go into the military, don't moan if a foreign national comes in and does that job.
I think most people with sense and common sense, which isn't that common.
Can't say that anymore.
Most people don't have an objection to foreigners coming in and doing a job and living amongst the natives.
Yeah.
No, most people haven't got a problem with that. It's when they see unfairness and what's going off that doesn't make sense. And totally what's happening today, it doesn't make no sense. How can we people can't get a doctor's appointment. People are struggling financially, a lot of people. People using food banks.
Council houses.
People can't get a council house. Do you know what I mean? And then what we're doing is importing millions of people in to a country that's already overloaded and we can't cope with the infrastructure. We just can't do it.
So this is the way I look at this, right?
So that's what people are fighting against, and hence we end up with these riots.
No, I get it, but let's look at the government. This is the way I look at it. So in the government, you say, right, I'm Keir Starmer now, I've took over, and I go, right, okay, where's my panel? Who's dealing with immigration? Wow, you guys recruiting and allowing immigration and have got us the monetary transaction for every head we get. You guys have done amazing. You guys processing them, you're doing terrible because you ain't processing fast enough. Meaning, we've earned all the money per head, we've got that, but you guys have no idea how many heads are coming into the country. And you are a bad division. I need to put some resources there. Right, the division over here, who are housing our, unemployed or whatever, you guys are doing a terrible job. You're doing a terrible job because you can't even perform. You're not putting bums on seats. You're not putting people in houses. Well, we've got no houses. Also, the national housing crisis. Okay, right, planners, you guys are doing amazing. You're doing that good. You've put more red tape into developers actually developing. You're doing that good. You're causing that division a big problem. You kind of need to let some red tape go to let their problem be solved. Do you see what I mean? Certain divisions within the government are outperforming other divisions, so the balance is clearly off. This to me is so easy to unpick. You know what I mean? Lift some red tape, let them build, let developers build. Turn brown land, turn the green into brown. Let us build. Let's do that. That will solve some of the headaches on housing crisis. But again, it comes back to the education system. Why is the education system so like the way it is? When my cousin, when he was doing his apprenticeship, he was doing a joinery apprentice, but he was working at a sort of shop fitter, if you want. So he was making bars and, fitting bars and restaurants out, things like that. Not one in his whole career did he have to learn about a sash window. That's the sashes that we've got on here, aren't we? The difference is that now today is defined as a specialist craft, but he still had to learn about it. So going back to these divisions within the government, right, you lot writing the curriculums that these kids, the youth of today, have to study, you guys are doing a terrible job. You need to work quicker, faster, because the curriculums are outdated. So the kids coming through today are going, I don't want to learn that. It's crap. So have you spoke to a child today who's leaving school How many of them go, well, I don't know what I'm going to do anymore? Way back when, people knew their fate before they left school. You leave school, straight down pit. That's what used to happen. You know, you knew it was inevitable because you were following your grandfather's footsteps. Today, people have no idea. They've lost an identity. They don't know what to do.
The good old, bad old days.
The good old bad old... Yeah, but what I take from those days is that there was structure, there was discipline, there was certain respect. Can you remember when, in the UK, Sundays were Sunday best?
Yeah, everything boils down to money. Everything. If you spot a problem, follow the money. You follow the money, you'll get your answer.
Amen.
Like, we're talking there earlier, you're talking just there about curriculums. Who writes the curriculums for universities, schools? It's these like Big Pharma and stuff like that. Do you know a doctor doing 8 years studying? How much of that 8 years is spent on natural medicines?
Probably
this
none.
might shock you.
Probably none.
1 hour.
Wow.
1 hour. That is serious. That's what I've just read.
Yeah.
1 hour. So we're not even looking, because it's about money. And that curriculum is written by the pharmaceutical companies. So they only allow 1 hour in 8 years. That's disgusting. Mm. And we've got a massive problem with obesity or diabetes, cancers are everything's rising. And what are we doing to look into how to solve these problems? It's certainly not natural ways, because natural ways don't pay the money. And you can't patent natural stuff. So by not being able to do that, there's no money in it.
It all rings true, doesn't it, when you start to look at the bigger picture? And I've seen that as well.
And going back to education, what you ran about education, our schools and universities, they don't teach people how to think. They tell them what to think.
Yeah.
And that's a sad part of our society. And what you were on about earlier, Ryan, we should be teaching kids how to work on their finances, how to do simple tasks, DIY, stuff like that. The rubbish they're taught through school. Since you left school, what have you used from school?
I can't even answer that question. I'm sure there might be something, but there really isn't. I mean, listen, I completely agree with everything you're saying there. I think it's good in terms of...
Do you know today, in your business today,
yeah,
how much of that algebra that you got taught will you use?
None.
It's all rubbish. They're teaching kids rubbish. Instead of teaching them proper life skills.
Yeah. But this is why I do believe in getting national service back up. Not because send them overseas and do a war. That's not what I'm promoting.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm promoting
That's why I asked you
discipline.
the question earlier, because as a service, it doesn't need necessarily mean a military service. It can be a community service. So you're helping.
Well, we had training things when we were at school, didn't we? You know, last year we'd do, you could go to like Beats and Clark's, Steelworks.
Yeah, you did 3 weeks.
Engineering. Trident scheme, wasn't it?
Yeah, it started the year I left school, it started. So I never got opportunity to do that. Yeah.
We've taken a few Tridents and whatnot, and this is how sad this is, right? A woman reaches out to me. I went to school with her, and she's followed us. So we've got property and construction business, and she says, "Oh, look, what you guys are doing amazing. My son's coming of age, 13, 14, where he gets into his Trident years. I'd love for him to, go and learn a craft with you guys. The door's open, of course. Bring him in. We'll look after them. We're trained with the school, CRB check, things like that. Let's do it. Fully insured. Let's go. We'll welcome it."
We'll wrap him up, pull his trolleys down and chuck him in the middle of the street.
Can't do it now, but yeah. I mean, listen, it didn't break me. I think from my perspective, that showed me a lot of respect. You earned your respect. And you were brought up in that nature. Today, you're not allowed to do it. You can't even touch him. You know what I mean? It's very different. But we actually welcomed this kid in, and he turned up. So his mum bought him boots, bought him trousers, did everything. He signed all his health and safety stuff.
By lunchtime, they were all gone.
Honest to God, this is how mad this is. He rocked up on site, bless him, and his feet weren't right way. That was a good start. But he'd put his gloves on inside out. back to front, sorry. So you know, like the rubber, you might have the rubber on for the grip. He'd put them on the back and had the fabric on the face of it. And it was just like, has that just happened? You know, and that is a 13, 14-year-old child coming to a construction site. So we had to firstly tell him, no, the rubber is for grip. Turn them the opposite way round. So we had to tell him that. That blew us away. And all we had him do was take bricks from one pile and put them near where the bricklayers were laying. So all day just doggying. That's all it were. They was having a bit of banter with the kid and, having a good time. You're only moving him like 2 or 3 metres, next to nothing. Just getting him busy, really, getting him used to manual handling and having the camaraderie with the lads on site. Everything was safe. By 3:30, his mum picked him up. He didn't turn in since. That were him done one day. And the message I got from her was, he had the best time ever, but he's absolutely exhausted. He feels like he's sprained his ankle. He'd not sprained his ankle. He was absolutely exhausted. I got it. I was exhausted on my first day as an apprentice. But by not forcing him to work, that second day was a failure on him. Because now he believes
he can just get out
and get away with
something because it's difficult.
And that's why I believe in national service, in that if things need doing, get them done.
If it's done in the right way, it can be a good thing.
100%.
But it's got to be beneficial to two parties, if you like. It's got to be beneficial to us as a country, and it's got to be beneficial to them,
so
like learning discipline and stuff.
I've got a little mini belief system, right? Imagine us three, and we're going to create a little ecosystem. And you are a mastery in food and water. Okay? You're a mastery at food and water. You have a mastery of roof over your head and transport. You have an absolute mastery. And me, I'll be the fun stuff, the leisure. Okay, so I bring camaraderie and I bring a community. Between us, if we share our services free of service to each other, would we need money?
Well, I would, because I'm an expensive person.
What are you expensive on? Give me something. So I'm leisure and camaraderie and community, and you can be housing and anything property-wise, anything, and travel. So what's your expensive taste?
Big yacht.
Well, he's got transport. You can borrow one of his for free. In return, he just wants to eat some of your food and some of your fine wine.
Yeah, but his yacht's cheap.
Define the cost of it.
Fuck off, big one.
He's got a massive one. He's got the biggest on the market.
Has he, though?
Yeah. Do you see what I'm getting at?
Is yours the biggest on the market?
What do we value things at? If we valued everything as a transactional value, it's like, oh, let me go on your yacht and you could come and spend as much of your time in my leisure facilities. Free trade. And meanwhile, while he's hopping, we'll have some...
So that's going back to the old thing of bartering, isn't it?
Trade.
Well, trade. So an IOU then became the note that we touch and feel today. And today we just put more of a value on it that I've got more than you. And it's not. This comes back down to why we... So if we led with give to receive, don't you think the value of money would actually significantly reduce?
I think money it's fake anyway.
Of course it's fake. So I don't believe in these people. Oh, money's not everything. No. I think money, I refer money as like a key. So money is a key. If you want to buy a house, well, you need the key to get into the house. So get the money, get into it. Once you're in the house, no one cares about the key. You only need the key when you want to lock it back up. Right? So money is a key to things. So it is part of the process, of course. It's the transactional process. But yeah, if we can lead with, I've got some of that. Do you want some of that? Yeah, well, let's trade. You help me, I'll help you.
It's a bit like communism, which as an ideal sounds great in that nobody's without a job, nobody's without a property, a house to live in, they get their bills paid, blah, blah. There's no incentive there for people to do better certain things. So when you're saying create our little ecosystem, it's a great idea and great for bartering, but then human nature takes over and says, well, I'm supplying me big yacht and that. All he's doing is making a bit of snap. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't quite work. While it's a great idea, but it doesn't work.
And it was just when the banks came in that they worked out, actually, we could really rip off everybody at once with this business. With as little I promised to pay the bearer notes and all this business. Why are people so upset? Why is it kicking off nationally all over the country?
Well, what was interesting for me the other day in Belfast, a town, I was born there, and I never thought in my lifetime I'd see loyalists and nationalists with a red hand of Ulster flag and a Union Jack and a tricolour all stood together for one common, because the government just aren't dealing with the issue. Instead of coming out, for me, Starmer should have come out the other day and said, look, we realise there's problems, we realise you've got issues, we're going to give us time, we're going to try and deal with it. But what do they do? Come out, we'll not stand for this, we'll lock you all up. 2 weeks ago, they're letting people out of prisons. Now they're going to lock all these up. I've listened to an MP this morning, a Labour MP, can't remember his name. His solution is, we've got 4,000 women in prison for non-violent offences. Release them immediately, and everybody who's rioting, put them in their place.
Wow.
That's his answer.
Wow.
What kind of answer is that? It's these people are lunatics.
Freedom of speech or what?
All three of us sat here are in agreement. Rioting, it's bad. Damaging people's property is bad.
Yeah.
Hurting people is bad. But they're not addressing the real issues at all. And this is where it's all going wrong. And our media is just as bad for pushing the same narrative over and over again, instead of saying, we need to listen to these people's concerns
So
and address them.
Stay with me. Keir Starmer. I mean, he's got a title of a Sir. So,
Very working class.
where does he live? Where does he live, for one?
Cloud Cuckoo Land.
Stay with me. Right? Where he eats, sleeps, everything he does is within a certain parameter. Right? So he's not with the working class. He wasn't. Because if he was with the working class, like your Nigel Farage does, he would understand and listen, like what Winston Churchill apparently did way back when he rode on the subway to get to his job, and he listened to the people. If he genuinely listened to the noise being created, he would address the problem at hand. I believe that he's not being even made aware of why people are rioting, because he is that busy.
They live in a bubble.
So the bubble that he lives in is protected from the message. So if you think, for example, if you lived in a little hotel room with security guards protecting you, and you were that busy 24 hours a day, you had stuff to do, you had policies to approve, you had world dominance meetings to approach, you had presidents and all these other people you had to delegate to and speak to and things like that. You ain't got time for the riff-raff because it's called delegate and advocate. Yeah. So you employ someone to ensure the noise is suppressed. But when it is, someone hands you a piece of paper and go, stand on that podium, Mr. Prime Minister, and say this. Right, there was some riots in Rotherham, and they're rioting, and we don't believe in rioting, so don't riot now. And you smashed up some mosques. We're going to repair the mosques. That's what we're going to do, and pack it in. We're going to put you in prison, because that's what's just happened.
Exactly.
He's not actually solved the problem, but how is he going to know to solve the problem if no one makes him aware of the problem?
Yeah,
Who's actually advising him of the real problem?
Well, there's one police chief, a woman. Okay, I can't remember her name. She's from Portsmouth area. She's come out and said, all this is wrong, attacking the police is wrong, blah, blah, like they're all saying. But we need to address why people are doing this. And our politicians, Sir Keir Starmer, is not addressing this. And it needs more people like that to say it, who have got a voice to say this. But straight away, the news, they're not reporting what she said. They're reporting other people, other commissioners who's just saying, we'll smash the rioters, this, that and the other. No one is addressing the facts and why it's happening.
Have you heard of the...
and just to say, I think one of the things that people are really, really angry about is no one's got a problem with people coming to your country for a better life, escaping a war, but we know most of these migrants who are getting off boats, they're not escaping wars. For a start, why aren't they staying in France? They're coming here because we're giving them benefits that they won't get in France. And the other thing is, when there's a war, the first people to leave a war is women and children. Where are all these women and children? Men should be stopping fighting for their country or whatever, getting the women to safety and the children to safety. But somehow it's all young fighting age men. And then what a lot of people are of the belief, and whether this could be true or could not be true, is that some of these young men who are coming could be actually UN soldiers. And the government expect civil unrest because of what they're doing with the country. And what's the next step up from that? People are already calling for it, to put the army on the streets, call martial law. Now, our old soldiers, would they come out and fight against their own people?
No.
So, if that situation was to occur, they might just have an army sat there ready to come out and control the people.
Well, that's like what John said about the Commonwealth soldiers in the Navy at the minute. They know Brits won't turn on Brits. It's just like, well, that's not ethical. It's not right. But yeah, if you've got a different nationality under control, because you've got free this, free that, free this, all you need to do is do as you're told. You're doing it.
The police through COVID and even back to the miners' strike certainly they enjoyed bashing a few heads.
That was different, wasn't it? You know, there wasn't many conspiracies back then. It was quite simple. Everyone had simplistic lives. You leave your work, you go to the pub, you go home, you get your snap bed, copy, paste, repeat. You work that pit, whatever you did. Look, going back to Keir Starmer, we need to find the right pressure point for Keir Starmer. And it isn't done by rioting. It's not. Rioting's not going to solve anything. We need to find the right pressure. Once we find that right pressure, and the whole United Kingdom, be it your Conservative, Labour, Green Party, whatever it is, whatever politician, party you follow, if we were united in solving the problem that only exists to a minority of people, apply that pressure, it gets solved.
This has been boiling over for years.
Yeah.
And it's come to a head. And they're not addressing why people are feeling so fed up and so angry. And this is where a lot of talk is about two-tier policing. Like Luke mentioned earlier, Black Lives Matter, all them sort of things, and all them, how they were dealt with and how certain protests are being dealt with. And then you get other protests, the police. I mean, I saw last week in London, I watched a video of a guy who was there filming it all live. And what the police were doing, it was scandalous how they treat normal people who were just there expressing their views. They weren't smashing things up, they weren't burning things, they weren't overturning police cars. They were literally just protesting. And there's police coming in and smashing them to pieces.
So, this is my belief system on this, right? Going back to I think it was Manchester Airport, wasn't it? Go back to education. We were, 5 or 10 years back, we were under-resourced in terms of the police. It was a known fact. In the UK, we have a shortage of police patrols on the street because crime was increasing and we had a reduced number of officers on the street. Well, now we've got more people in. Okay, we've ramped up the police on the street, but But yet, in such a short space of time, we have put normal people, just like us, in a uniform and expect them to know how to deal with threat, terror, where you've got hundreds of people knowingly angry and using their aggression out on you. How would you react as that policeman? I'm not condoning their behaviour, but if you was to put yourself in a situation where you've got a little riot shield and you've got people around you angry, not at that individual, they're angry at the cause, that individual has been put there to try and do a job that they might not even agree with, but they are not trained.
Look at our police force today. When we were young, every copper was over 6 foot or over 5'10" or whatever.
This is point proven, this, by the way.
He was fit.
Yeah.
He was strong.
Aggressive.
And you were scared of him.
Assertive, yeah.
Because if you get him some lip, you got a clip round the earlug.
Yeah.
And it was simple as that. I watch time and time again young people in coppers' faces. They don't respect them. They don't give a shit about them. They don't fear them no more. And we've took all that away. You have to now have a degree, don't you? Why do you need a degree to join the police?
Yeah, or public servant. I mean, look, this comes back down to like the education system when you were young. Respect your elders. I know some, I know we're going off on a tangent here, but I know some, and this has been allowed by the government, by the way. This is what I'm talking about. Go back to education. There are some young teachers today, and they're going in infant schools, right? And they are having objects thrown at them. Now, we had a school and come and we spoke to them. We said, "Oh, we'll come and take some of your students and come and work with us." And we said, "Not all of them can do that." So, well, why not? Well, some of them have actually got behavioural problems. I got disciplined. It was now back on school duty. He got disciplined because he told that student they were being silly. That student went home, told the mum and dad. They filed a complaint against the teacher because the teacher said, "You're being silly." They got suspended for saying they were being silly. It's gone too far. We're protecting children, and what we're actually doing is turning them into wild animals. So go back to the education system, insert some discipline, do's, don'ts. What I don't get is, from a very early age, from an infant, we teach everybody, irrelevant to skin, colour, religion, anything. We teach everybody, put the red square through the red square hole. Get the blue cylinder, put the blue cylinder through the blue... You know what game I'm talking about, right? We've all done that. So we're looking for indifferences, we're judging shape, sizes, colour. We're trained and we're disciplined in that way. So what difference is the skin colour have anything to do? It doesn't have anything to do with it. It's obvious that we can see the difference between a skin colour. Doesn't mean to say that's anything to do with racism. So if we start with the education system there, that's great. Now we've defined the difference between one and the other, right? So the only thing that's missing is the discipline and the respect. Where in our education system is discipline? It's been removed by you can't touch kids like that. You can't speak to kids like that. You don't do this, you don't do that.
Shout at them. You
of
can't
course
tell them
you
off.
can. Everything now, in terms of discipline, has been removed. So yes, I do believe bring back the compulsory service. Not for those reasons, for the right reasons, because kids do need to be disciplined. So my point on this is like, so you're telling me we can't tell kids what to do or be assertive in our instruction to them because we might hurt their feelings, but yet they can smoke, they can learn to drive, so we give them authority in certain things. So we can let them be wild animals and throw things at teachers, and we'll let them go behind the wheel of a car. Well, you know what I mean? It's got to a point where it's like, well, hang on a minute. Rather than bringing them both together and have some discipline and some structure for the right good, the way we need them to be, we're letting them misbehave and we're not getting them disciplined and we're letting them do what they want. Well, that's just a recipe for disaster, if you ask me.
Like my granddad's era, they were fighting World War II.
Yeah.
So they didn't have much right into their adult lives. Our parents, it was all hand-me-downs, wasn't it? We were hand-me-downs. We got hand-me-down clothes, toys, old action men with 1 foot, things like that. Yeah. But now people are more affluent, but they are more greedy.
And they expect.
Want. Yes.
Time speeds up. We ain't got time to wait.
Yeah, that's why people are getting in debt. They're just living on a credit card system.
Whatever people are in debt, in that debt, you've got them exactly where you need them.